All right. I wanted to get into, I guess, this next lesson on, and what we're going to be talking about is how to identify your audience, um, how to identify actually your target audience. And there's like five things that you can do. And so I'm going to make this particular video like quick. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to come back and then I'm gonna kind of like break down each one of these like in more detail. So this is just going to be like a very quick segment on, the top five things. And then from there, you will take now and there'll be a video that follows that's going to really get into the meat of it. So this is just really more or less an introduction. So one of the first things that I think that what people fail to do is that they fail to identify a problem that they want to solve. And I heard somebody say something that was actually pretty interesting yesterday. It said that if you want to be a billionaire, um, change the lives, come up with a product or a service that can change the lives of a billion people. If you want to be a millionaire, come up with a product or service that can change the lives of a million people, and so forth and so on. And so when you think about the companies that have done that, for example, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg he created a product, and or service that has changed the lives of over a billion people. So therefore he's a billionaire. Jeff Bezos, billionaire, you know. So going when you're starting to craft or create what it is that you want to do, um the first thing you want to start with is that in one sentence, tell me what problem you're trying to address, tell me what problem you're fixing, and then talk about, is that problem, is it physical, mental, emotional, is it environmental, if it's financial. Those are your main five areas that affect people. It affects people are affected physically, mentally, emotionally, something to do with the environment, something financial. And so if you can create a product and a service that can address or fix a problem within one of those areas, um, now you're going to now begin to um, grow or target um, a particular audience or a particular segment. The next thing you want to do when we're talking about this is that you want to, now that you have your problem, you want to create the audience. And so now you have to ask yourself, okay, now that I have this here problem, for example, there is a problem with, you know, for example, dirty water. People are drinking unclean water. I see that to be a problem. And so now what I want to do is that if that's the problem that I want to solve, now the next step is that, okay, who has this specific problem? Well, the people that have this specific problem live particularly in third world countries, okay, and sometimes in second world countries where they're still having to drink, unclean water. And so you say that, okay, what benefit would that provide? Well, water provides a health benefit. You actually live long, you can live, I mean, longer, or not necessarily live longer, but if you don't have clean water to drink, you're subject to disease, you're subject to death, you're subject to, all kind of, social and economic problems if you don't have clean drinking water, right? So why do they need this? Again, because without it, you know, people are going to suffer, they're going to die. So water, solving the problem of, a person needing clean drinking water, you know, is a problem. It affects people socially, economically, health wise. Okay. And then, they need me. The reason why people need me in this particular, my audience needs me, is because I'm passionate about this subject. Okay. I'm passionate about clean water, clean drinking water. I've traveled to countries and I've seen people drinking unclean water, and the effects. Okay. Or, I have a particular skill set or background, in this industry. And so that's why people need me. So when you're creating your audience, now that you have the problem, which we use, for example, um, in this case, clean water as our problem, um, now it's why people need me is because I have particular education or knowledge or background or industry experience in solving this problem. Okay. And so now we're in a situation where, or now that we've define the problem. We pretty much created our audience. Now, as we talk about what is their pain points, and you typically want to list 5 to 10 major pain points, that your audience is experiencing. What does it look like, as they're sitting there in their pain? I mean, and one of the things that I can think of is just like the health crisis that water, clean water or not having clean water creates. Kids, not being able to go to school because they're sick, mothers having to take their kids, to, walk to take their kids to doctors, to get, shots for all type of, bacteria related diseases. And so those are a lot of the pain points that, when I, right off the top of my head, that, not having clean drinking water pretty much, addresses, you know, um, um, and when we start talking about like what would they complain about to their family and friends, well, I can imagine sitting down, a mother, holding her child and really worrying and complaining that, the water that we're drinking is just not clean, and them not having the utensils to even sterilize, their food and or other of the, utensils to drink, as far as because water provides sterilization. So there's a lot of different pain points that come into play when you start thinking about this problem. Okay. The next thing you're going to do is, once you've got your audience pain points, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to build your brand. Who am I? And that starts, who am I starts with your mission statement. What is the audience's desired outcome, that you want to help them experience? Well, the desired outcome that I want a person to experience is that them experiencing, the fact that they have readily accessible, clean drinking water. Okay. And because what will happen is, because if they have clean drinking water, that's going to promote social benefits, economical benefits. It's going to promote education, because now kids are not going to be sick. There's not going to be health crises or health scares. We're going to reduce the infant mortality rate, all of those things. And so that's my mission. Okay. And what I'm willing to give is, I'm willing to give my expertise, and I'm willing to go and to travel, to set up, for example, clean drinking water facilities. I'm willing to, invest my money. I have money that I can invest. I'm willing to invest my skill set, my time. So those are the things that I want to, or that I can invest. Um, and in one and now the next thing is, in one short sentence, describe what you do. What I do is, I want to be the ambassador for clean drinking water. I want to be the one that points out um, the need for clean drinking water in this world. Okay. And now that I've created my mission statement, so that way when I start talking to people and I start telling them what I do, now I have my mission all lined out, and then I get into the outcome. which is describing my outcome in 3 to 5 words. Describe the outcome you want to provide your audience. I want to be able to provide clean, accessible drinking water for mothers and infants in third world countries. Okay, that's my outcome. I want to provide clean, accessible. It's got to be clean, and then accessible meaning that like literally in their home, because in third world countries sometimes they don't even have clean drinking water like in their home. They have to like go to a well. So I want that water to be accessible in the home, so that way they don't have to go outside of the home. Because here in America, that's one of the things that we take for granted, that we can just go to a faucet and just turn on water, or we can go to our showers and take a shower and just turn on water. Well, in third countries and in some second world countries, they can't do that, or they only have limited hot water when you start talking about like taking a shower or a bath or bathing. So the desired outcome is that I want people to experience, and have access to, and I want them to have access to clean drinking water. And so that's my desired outcome. So just to kind of recap is that when you're trying to identify, your target audience, you want to sit down and, again, you want to define the problem, you want to create the audience, you want to address the pain points of your audience, then you want to build your brand around that. Your brand is, who am I, or what am I going to be known for? When people talk about me and I'm not in the room, what am I known for? Okay. And then you want to describe the outcome. And so those are the I guess the 5 areas that what we when we start talking about, again, targeting your audience, those are the 5 areas. Now, in the next series of videos, what we're going to do is we're going to get way, way more specific. Some of those videos may be actually, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 minutes long. So just be prepared for that, because now there's going to be more work that you have to do when you start talking about this, because and when you're building your audience and when you're going through this exercise, what you're going to discover is a lot of times people start talking about, well, where's my content? How do I create content? Well, guess what? When we sit down and get this identified, or we identify your target audience, and all these series of questions, they're like building blocks. Your content is going to derive from each one of these, from the types of from the questions that are asked in the particular exercises, okay, or those classes. You'll be able to take that and take messages from that, and now put that like in your social media content, in your website content, and video content. Because now the key thing is that now that you have your audience and you have your target audience, now the key thing is going to be, how do I now talk to my audience? Okay, I got my audience, how do I talk to them? Okay, what is the language of my audience? And so now you'll have all of these here building blocks and these components. So I'm gonna go ahead on and end on this note. Join me for the next series of videos, and we'll catch you on the other side. Talk to you later. Peace.